Okay, sorry about that. Now I think everything is set up. I should always mute my mic when or mute my microphone when I'm setting up. So, okay, I'll just do that in the future. So, um, welcome to the stream. I am uh Reroll Zero. I was about to say I forgot my name for a second. And I'm sorry. I'm gonna mute the mic again. Okay, I think that's better because um I don't know if the mic's volume is too high because it's a standard blue microphone, but at the same time I'm not too far away from it, and I don't want to be too egocentric or whatever, but I try to project as much as possible. Sorry, not like psychologically like projecting, but like projecting in like a theater sense, projecting the trying to get to the people in the back. So, um, other than that, I think we're ready to go. I'm gonna try and get the usual formalities of the way. Um, thank you very much for Shin. He's usually always one of my moderators, and for the most part, he hasn't streamed in a while, but he's still a good person and a good streamer. So, and we also talk a lot about mental health. So he helps me out a lot. Um, then shout out for Shrimpy. He's another one of my moderators, and he's a good friend of mine. And we talk about mental health every now and then. So, but yeah. Other than that, he helps me out a lot. So if you can follow him, that'd be great. And again, the last thing to talk about is the Overwatch X-Men skins. Again, I don't care too much about Overwatch, but at the very least, if you could help him out, that'd be great. Again, I'm not paid by this user because again, if that was the case, then I would have to say a paid promotion for both Twitch and for YouTube. I just kind of just do it of my own free will. So, if you could support that, that'd be great. So to the main task at hand, I like to talk about today. Similar in the sense of, and again, I think the picture's over here. About Marvel Heroes Omega, because again, similar to Kingdoms of Amalur, that's coming out, or Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning or whatever, and I think that's an awful subtitle. Um, what was I gonna say? Marvel's Avengers is coming out in like a month or two or so, and I kind of wanted to talk about that with another um, similar game, Marvel Heroes Omega. I know, I think it was like in 2016, it was just called Marvel Heroes 6 2016, and the console ports for the game and it being labeled Omega was kind of almost the death knell because unfortunately, I think Disney, which owns pretty much all Marvel rights and all that, they were gonna shut down the game anyway. So this was I feel like when they ported the consoles, it was almost like a last hurrah type thing because it was a great game, and I wish more um, like PC brands like MMORPGs and all that they would transfer they would transfer as well to consoles because I think Neverwinter does that, and I think they do it well. Um, gosh, what's it? Neverwinter does that, and the Star Trek One as well. The MMORPG they do that as well, and I think they've done it well. They integrated nicely. And then for like other games, like I think Smite does it poorly. I think they don't update, enough even after their introductory phase on the console. Um, but to be also fair, it's like some games don't promote enough, or some games don't even have the chance, or don't want to pay for it. Either A, they're cheapskates, or B, they just don't want to play ball with Microsoft, citing Team Fortress 2 in the past. That was just base vanilla, and almost base vanilla Monday Night Combat, which had like two or three updates or DLC. And again, they don't want to. consistently pay the I think you get up you in the past in the 360, I think, and probably even for the Xbox original, they probably had to pay a price for putting a significant update on their game. So but I guess since so many of the PC titles, like again, or personal computer titles, um, they maybe the price isn't as high because there are tons of updates for Warframe, and I think Warframe is both on multi-platform now. Smite as well, and I don't know if Neverwinter and Star Trek are on gosh, what's it called? Are on PS4 as well or PS3, but they're nice games as well. Sorry, I talked about that too long or long enough. I want to talk about Marvel Heroes Omega. It was a game that was more or less was just Diablo with Marvel, um, uh, Diablo with Marvel assets or whatever. Because even one of the head guys that was part of the Diablo development team, they were one of the head developers on this project. So that's why it's very similar to Diablo, and that's why probably it does the up top down camera. Um, so Marvel Heroes Omega, it was a great game. Unfortunately, again, it got shut down maybe over 4 to 5 year period. I don't know how long it was up on the PC, but they had a lot of stuff on the PC, which unfortunately didn't get transferred to the console. I think the only things that transferred the console were like Black Cat and Loki and Iron Fist, and I think I I have I think an immense like distaste for Iron Fist, but like I feel like Iron Fist had no moves at all, and that'll be one of the sources of complaint from the game. But we'll get to that eventually. Um, and then I think Daredevil was a free thing that you could always download and have a temporary another character to add to your stable of heroes. Or not stable, but collection or playable characters. Um, anyhow, the game was I imagine it was probably you paid for it initially, but then it was free to play um on Xbox One, and you unlock characters by specifically getting either paying for them again, like most um free to play games function, or you can take the immense amount of time to farm the shards. I can't remember what the shards are and how they're different from the actual microcurrency and the shards. The shards, they'll be like, you can unlock most like you get your first freebie character after, like, I think the prologue in the sense of the Xbox One edition, and I think most 200 characters are pretty, or the 200 shard characters you'll have your pick from, and I picked Squirrel Girl, and Squirrel Girl is fantastic. Or Squirrel Girl is fantastic in the game. Um, Again, I know it's like what I was going to say is Glass Houses type thing where it's like Squirrel Girl is a fantastic character. Oh, thank you very much, Shin. I didn't know if I saw it yet. Other than that, but yeah, it's like Squirrel Girl is a fantastic character, and then I said that, like, oh, since I was dumping on Iron Fist, that people are just gonna go back and attack me. But again, I have a lot of personal bias against Iron Fist because again, he's just a white guy doing kung fu, so it's just it's kind of like I it's really like difficult to not, or really I'm having it's really hard to like him. That's what I'm trying to get to. But um uh gosh, so yeah, I think it was like Squirrel was 200 shards. I think Hawkeye is, if I remember correctly. I think Hulk is, and I think that's kind of it. Or I'm sorry, I know there's probably a lot. There's I think Captain Marvel was one as well. So that, and a lot of them, and a lot of the 200 characters had a lot of like practical moves and had they had high enough damage so that you know that they would still be a viable character later on. So if you saw some other character doing lots of damage, then you could save it for them. And then I think it was like the 500 characters. The 500 characters had like more like stuff about them, and also it depends on how many costumes they had as well. Um, Gosh, I think 500 was like She Hulk, and like, or maybe it was like 450. I can't remember. Um, She Hulk, and then I can only remember She Hulk honestly because the other 500. Oh, I think 500 is like Psylocke as well. Yeah, Psylocke had a lot of fantastic moves. Um, and then I can't think of beyond those two. And then the last one was like 700 or 750 for like the air quotes premium characters or whatever, basically. And uh gosh, it was like Iron Man was 750 or 700 or whatever, and Deadpool, and I think Captain America and Wolverine, and I'm not sure if Thor. I think Thor was 200, but like, all of Marvel's halcyon heroes, as it were. Um, or like they're heroes since the beginning, effectively, except maybe not Thor. I don't remember where Thor was. Other than that, but the funny thing is, oh yeah, Jean Grey, I think it was a 700 and 750. And the funniest thing is, I think I got enough shards for a lot of characters because again, like I wanted to have a lot of characters to play as. And I got Jean Grey, and I think Jean Grey was probably the most like disappointing like character I tried out. And I remember playing with my brother. I think he got Iron Man, and Iron Man was pretty like disappointing as well. So, um, I think if I remember correctly, I think like War Machine and Scarlet Witch were also in the game. I don't remember their price, range, but I remember Scarlet Witch is pretty OP in general, and in general, and in B in the game because hey Strippy, thank you for stopping by. Um, because there was a lot of her moves, or I think there was one move that just like instantaneously killed even higher up enemies, even bosses, so that you could just one shot bosses sometimes. So it was always like kind of funny, but then it got really dull when sometimes you were playing with somebody and they would do that a lot. I know it's I know it's to be fair, it's Scarlet Witch's bread and butter, and I know it's like she's OP, so it's fun to play as her. So, um, but yeah, who else was in the game that I like? I'm trying to remember. Um, oh yeah, Luke Cage as well, and Colossus and Cyclops. And I kind of remember the story about the how the guy was like called Punch Clops and all that, and that was kind of funny. Um, but I feel like um, that's kind of where in the sense of it's kind of like Marvel vs. Capcom, where you look at it and there's a lot of carryover from certain characters. Like they will have gosh, what's a good example? Like I think for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, they will have Wolverine, and then they had the skeleton Wolverine, and I was going like, well, I could slightly understand that, but that's just taking a character slot. So you know, um, but it's kind of the same thing with almost like where it's like they kind of ran out of ideas. So with like Colossus and Cyclops, a lot of their moves are they'll call in other characters from like X-Men or Marvel or whatever. Like they'll have Colossus will have like Kitty Pryde, I think, and Beast and Nightcrawler and Magic his sister, and then Cyclops will have Jean Grey, Angel, Beast, and I don't know what else, but like I feel like yeah they struggled a lot with Colossus and Cyclops, because one is a guy that just shoots beams, which technically, sure, that's Superman as well, but Superman has other powers, and and I know I'll probably get fired for this, but I like the idea of Cyclops is a better form in the Incredibles, the Gazer Beam guy. That's in the screen time that Gazer Beam is on. He's a better Cyclops than Cyclops. Um, but so they kind of ran out of ideas for some characters, and I kind of almost will say it's not as fair to say that for like uh, oof. I'm going to say Captain Marvel and Squirrel Girl because again I feel like there's a lot of powers for Squirrel Girl will overlap, especially with utility of squirrels. But I feel like again with Colossus and Cyclops, their power set is beams and Colossus is steel skin or whatever. So yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure. I was really concerned. I muted myself for a second. I've just been speaking to muted mic. Um, who else was in the game? There were a lot of characters in the game that were not in the Xbox version or PS4 version and or PS3 version. I can't remember. Um, but I'm gonna go back to the console version for a second. I remember Moon Knight. Moon Knight is okay. I think Blade had a lot of utility and he's kind of fun. I think Punisher, if they allowed you to go beyond level 10 with characters you haven't purchased, with grind obtaining the shards or whatever, or buying them outright, I think that would have been better. But if they let you go to 20 or something like that, or let you have like a virtual target range where you try out their powers or whatever, then that would more incentivize you than just level 10. Level 10, you only get like three or four of their powers, and then left to like, I guess, think about if you want to gamble with that. I think again, it's like Punisher and Blade, and all the characters have like, um, gosh, like an ultimate like ability too, which is really funny. Punisher has his van from like the like '90s cartoon or Spider-Man '90s cartoon and comics. I don't remember about Blades. Squirrel Girls one is like there's just all kinds of squirrels fill the screen. Um, I think Captain Marvel makes like a neutron star type thing. It's kind of cool, but also kind of lame at the same time. Um, I don't remember She-Hulk's, but She-Hulk's I remember. She-Hulk was probably one of the funnest characters in the game, besides Psylocke and Squirrel Girl. I don't remember Psylocke's, and again, I didn't get to purchase all characters, so like again, the 750 people like Wolverine and Spider Man, that was they were really difficult to take a gamble on because yeah, Spider Man. I remember Spider Man is 750 as well, and so it's like, do you want to be stuck with this character and then you have to get shards over again for another character, especially if you got all the 200 charge characters. I can't remember if Luke Cage was 500 or 200. I think Punisher was 500, and I think Blade was 500. But I think what I was talking about also with Colossus and Cyclops, I feel like Luke Cage had a lot of they ran out of ideas type thing because so many other assist characters appear. Like again, Iron Fist, Misty Knight, Calling Wing, and gosh, I can't think of any other characters beyond that. Oh, and Jessica Jones is a wife. So they'll appear as part of another move. But again, and I think She-Hulk will appear for Luke Cage as well, or vice versa. I can't remember. Or no, I think it's like She-Hulk has the same thing with like Luke Cage, where again, I think they ran out of ideas again for She-Hulk, and then she has another summon like, again, Jessica Jones or Calling Wing or whatever. Sorry, there's a lot of ancillary characters with Iron Fist and Luke Cage and all that. What else was I gonna talk about? Oh, I kind of wish they got their act together for like a lot of other PC games because um I know it's like unfortunately they got shut down relatively quickly, and they or a hacker made it so that all purchases were one of those shards, so you could get additional costumes that were like, you know, the premium stuff. Like I think Spider Gwen was for Spider Man. I kind of look at that and go like, yeah, I kind of understand that, but I kind of wanted them as an original character. But again, that's still tough to work out. That's even more tough to work out when you think of Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which came out on Switch, and there's Spider Gwen, Miles Morales, and Spider Man, and Venom. So it's hard to differentiate, four moves for four web slingers. And then there's an alternate costume for Thor, Jane Foster. She has a hammer, and other than that, like I was saying, it was just like it was like a great idea. And oh, sorry, I should talk about the. I know I'm going in a lot of tangents, but I want to talk about the picture a little bit. That green guy is like Goop, or not Goop, Dupe, I think, not Gwyneth Paltrow. But the green guy is Dupe, and he's like a treasure goblin that appears every now and then. It's another extreme similarity with Diablo, and you'll beat him up and you'll sometimes get good gear. So he's again a treasure goblin. So but again, like there's a lot of fun stuff to be had with the game. And there's probably another funny thing is that each person had travel powers as well. um like for Deadpool it was like a moped, and then like Blade and Ghost Rider had a motorcycle. So it was kind of fun to get on there, or uh to play as them, just to get the motorcycle out and annoy people in town. Or it's funny when people joined you in town and just drove around. For some reason, Cyclops has a moped. I kind of somewhat understand Wolverine having a moped. Squirrel has like a wave of squirrels. Um she waves in on or whatever. I can't like um unfortunately again it's like, oh, there's a limit to how many travel powers you can have. So like um I think it's like Psylocke didn't exactly have anything like that, or just, except for Run Faster. I think She-Hulk probably the same idea. um but I completely forgot about Ghost Rider, and I don't remember if he was 750 or 500. So again, it's like why I probably thought Jean Grey, and with same thing with Iron Man, why they're probably so um why I probably thought they were not that entertaining was because again they were 750 characters, and you're like, well, I take a gamble and be stuck with this character for a while, and then you're like, oh gosh, I have that character now. So yeah, a lot of high end characters for Marvel were 750, and like, or again 700. I don't remember the exact number, but again it was a big gamble. And I remember, I swear, it's like you only got shards, and I don't know the timing because I never got it to that point where I was such a nerd and like knew the drop rates and all that. But like shards would probably drop for you every 15 to 30 minutes, and like you would log on if you bought the premium and get Nightcrawler. And Nightcrawler was a really disappointing character too. Um, you would get login shards every day, 5 I think, and that kind of helped out. But again, I want to jump from the console to PC versions, because again, PC versions had a lot of extra stuff. Like they had a lot of characters that may or probably were not going to be in the console version. I think there was X-23, there was Rogue, um, and then I kind of stopped there because I can't think of anything else besides those characters. And then they have like buddy characters, like you could get Rescue Pepper Potts, and the some of the Agents of Shield characters. And other than that, I can't think of like all the extra stuff because they had a lot. They had a lot of costumes, and again, the premium costumes went to another character. Um, and unfortunately, it was shut down. But I'm glad they brought it to console for at least a year or so that I got to try it out, and it was a fantastic game. And unfortunately, uh, it shut down. So, um, I can't think of whatever else to say. So I think it might be a good time to call it. If you want to support me or support my stream or support my YouTube channel, I set up a Patreon now. I think I've listed it on my Twitch and YouTube as well. But thank you for dropping in. I am your host, Reroll Zero, and I am signing.